The thrill of travel, wild adventure, and big machines on this episode of Mavericks Unlimited. We are visiting the most daring cliff divers in Mexico. They jump from cliffs as high as 35 meters and risk their lives. What's more, this tower is 324 meters high, and this extreme climber will climb it without safety devices. But some problems arise and put him at a deadly risk. And the snake hunters from India. In order to get the venom, they catch the world's most poisonous snakes with their bare hands. All of this now on Mavericks Unlimited. We start off in Mexico, or to be precise, in Acapulco at the Mexican west coast. 13 kilometers of sandy beaches, about 30 degrees Celsius the whole year round. A resort right at the Pacific Ocean, popular among US Americans as well as among wealthy locals. A highlight for visitors from around the whole world are the professional cliff divers of Acapulco. Every day, enthusiastic spectators pay an entrance fee to applaud the death-defying men. 5 times a day, the so-called clavadistas profesionales de la quebrada dive down from as high up as 35 meters. That is more or less the height of a 10-story building. It's noon at the Quebrada, the most famous rock in Acapulco. The divers are preparing for the first show of the day. This young man wants to follow in their footsteps. 20-year-old Jorge Ramirez. His goal, for the first time, to dive from a height of 35 meters. Before each jump, the divers ask for the Virgin Guadalupe's protection. She is the Mexican patron saint.
Es una tradición familiar que la heredé de mi abuelo, mi padre, y ahora me toca a mí hacerlo. Es por eso que estoy aquí y porque me apasiona este deporte.
A dangerous passion. Allegedly, no one has died yet, but there are many injuries every day. Burst eardrums are an occupational hazard. Broken bones and dyspnea, normality. Because the water is as solid as rock when you hit it. But no reason for Jorge to give up on his dream.
Claro que sí. Tengo un poco de miedo y nervios. Después de salto todo es libertad.
Rock after rock, Jorge has come closer to his dream. To date, he has only dived from a height of 25 meters. These are meant to be his last jumps from this height. Tomorrow, he will risk diving from all the way up. Common sense speaks against this undertaking because the conditions are more than just unfavorable.
El principal problema que tenemos nosotros al lanzarnos de ahí es que son dos cosas. Uno, que el risco no está así verticalmente hablando, sino que está declinado. Eso hace que nosotros tengamos que impulsarnos y en el agua hay rocas que salen donde podemos caer. Así que lo que nosotros buscamos es impulsarnos lo más posible para cuando llegue una ola como la que está entrando, viene el canal. Justo en ese punto es donde debemos de lanzarnos, ya que el canal es bajo.
That's why the clavadistas are so-called death jumpers. Firstly, the spot they must hit is only about 4 meters wide, and secondly, it all depends on how far out they can jump. Only a few centimeters short and they hit one of the sharp rocks. And that's not all. The precise moment is essential for survival. The water is only 3 meters deep here. The divers must perform a rebound immediately after hitting the water in order to avoid the reef. In spite of, or maybe even because of the risks involved, the cliff divers are world famous. Miguel Sanchez, a professional diver himself, knows why Jorge wants to become a cliff diver.
Que nos gana el miedo. Siempre hay miedo, todo el tiempo. Pero con cada clavado ganamos un poco más de confianza. Ganamos un poco más de entrega a esto y de amor más que nada a este trabajo, porque la verdad es bonito, es agradable cuando la gente sale, te aplaude. Eso es la mayor ganancia que tenemos nosotros, ser reconocidos por algo que te gusta. Eso es lo mejor de mi trabajo.
Even more important than the applause is the entrance fee the audience pays, 40 pesos per person, amounting to the equivalent of a good $2. According to legend, 100 years ago, a fisherman jumped from the quebrada in order to disentangle his net from a rock and invented cliff diving. Up to this day, the divers still jump from that same spot. But now the divers have organized themselves into a club. All the revenues go into a joint account. They divide up the tips between them, but visitor numbers are declining. The divers earn between $70 and $540 a month, about $220 less than the average Mexican income. The big day has arrived. Word of a rookie taking part has spread quickly. Our divers put on an especially good show today. The thrill is higher. For the other men, it's business as usual, diving according to schedule. Almost all of them have known each other since childhood. 90% of the clavadistas are third or fourth generation divers. While the men celebrate themselves, Jorge is looking for last tips and hints.
Siento un poco de nervios y ansias por ya tirarme, pero espero que salga bien todo esto. Estoy preparado.
But first, it's the professionals' turn. Cliff diving has even become Olympic in the meantime. But no one dares to do what the original divers from Acapulco do. Dive into the water head first from a height of up to 35 meters. The top mark of other divers from around the world is 27 meters. However, they dive feet first only. Especially risky, the so-called Holandesa, the 1.5 turn backflip. Now Jorge. Naturally, the next generation doesn't want to miss out on this. The little girl is up there for the first time. Could she imagine to one day also jump from up here?
Realmente, no.
But Jorge has no choice. He's the highlight of the show. The last few moments belong to him only. He has watched the pros' routine for more than 1,000 times, which helps him now. Stretch, kneel down, pray, jump. Whatever the men whisper to their patron remains a secret. But it's obvious what Jorge needs at this moment. A lot of courage and good luck.
Entonces, justo antes de lanzarme es donde pasa la mayor concentración. Escucho el sonido del mar, cómo el viento toca mi piel, cómo la gente aplaude, hasta el flash de una fotografía. Se vuelve ese momento muy sensitivo para nuestro cuerpo.
Conditions are tough today. There is a strong wind. The waves come at irregular intervals. Jorge raises his arms, making the official sign for the others before the jump. But he hesitates, interrupts, then makes a fresh start. Jorge dives into the water almost vertically at a speed of up to 90 kilometers an hour, accelerating faster than a racing car. The clash is more than 9 times stronger than that from a 10-meter diving board. The dive went smoothly, but is he okay?
Muchos nervios y desesperación, ya quería salir. Ya me había cansado. No vienen las olas, no habían llegado las olas. Se tendió el mar hasta que llegó alguna, pero ya salí con bien, gracias a Dios. Ah, acabado, por fin.
20-year-old Jorge is now officially one of the famous Acapulco cliff divers. From Mexico, we go to Doha, the capital of Qatar. One man, one tower, one mission. Never before has anyone climbed this facade. 318 meters high, no safety devices, extreme desert winds, and fast too. Alain Robert wants to climb up and set a new world record within just 3 hours. He'll only have one attempt. If he falls, he dies. Arrival at the Torch Doha. For the first time, Alain sees the tower from close up. The flame-shaped building was constructed as the emblem of the Asian Games in 2006. Afterwards, the flame was transformed into a hotel. 318 meters in height, it is one of the highest buildings in Qatar. Its facade consists of 3,452 single elements. The very next morning, Alain wants to explore the skyscraper for the first time. He is trying to figure out the appropriate climbing technique. His original idea to use the grid as a sort of ladder is obviously not going to work.
I can also doing it this way, but it's too slim for my climbing shoes. So I need to use the crack, and I need to jam my my foot. It's just painful. It's a bit like nails. My feet, they are nearly blocked inside it. Sometimes I am having difficulties to remove it. I can feel that it grabs my lace, and it's not so easy in that sense.
Alain has to pole through with this painful procedure for the entire 320 meters. Even though he uses his legs to press himself against the facade, he can't push his feet too deep into the fissures because pulling them out would need a lot of strength. If he falls into a void. It has happened before. The Frenchman has had 7 falls over the past 30 years. Before climbing a building, Alain must always take a close look at the roof in order to ensure that there is a safe exit. If Alain doesn't have a permit, as with this building, he rents a helicopter to view the building from above. Not every skyscraper is climbable from facade to roof in just one go. Even if it sounds a bit esoteric for non-climbers, Alain is trying to get a feel for the facade. He needs to know how much weight he can place on the grid at each point. His problem here? The construction is extremely unstable and shaky.
It's a bit scary because it moves a lot. Suddenly, you are alive, and then you are still alive on the backside, but it's kind of a weird feeling.
Alain has underestimated the facade. He hesitates.
Suddenly, there is 300 meters below, and it reminds you that you better be prepared mentally, being focused, because you can't afford to do even one single mistake.
The next day, in 5 hours, it's time to go. The problem? The wind has stirred up sand, which is all over the facade. Alain asks for industrial climbers to clean the grid so he can find a proper grip, if time still allows. Thousands of spectators have arrived in the meantime. They want to witness a live experience of the attempt at a safety device-free facade climbing record. But Alain is also very worried about something else. The climber only noticed these huge LED signs last night. He can't get by these signs since there is nothing there to hold on to. His problem? While they are clearly noticeable at night, they are almost invisible in daytime, and no one from the hotel can tell him exactly where they're situated. Everyone is desperately looking for binoculars, and Alain is nervous.
I still didn't get the fucking binocular. I did ask yesterday, still wanted to check from the bottom. And there is too much LEDs, then I can't slide my finger anymore.
It becomes clear that Alain is not just some crazy joker who carelessly puts his life at risk. He does fear for his life too.
I slept not much. Actually, I'm sleepy, but I cannot sleep. I am already a bit nervous now.
It's his riskiest ascent ever. Because the building is shaped like a torch, Alain will almost be climbing upside down from the middle onwards. The wind is steadily picking up. Nevertheless, it's time to get started. 8,000 more holds to reach the roof. Climbing without the slightest safety measure, just climbing boots and chalk. The hotel management have drawn up 5 contracts in which Alain assigns his legal claims in the case of his death. Alain notices right from the start that his fingers get stuck between the grid bars. His fingers are taped, but even so, the friction when pulling them out is unexpectedly excessive. After only 30 meters, his coach has to renew the tapings from an intermediate story. If Alain injures his hands, he doesn't stand a chance anymore, because the Frenchman is climbing without a rope from which he could abseil in the case of an injury. He has now climbed 1/3, but more than 200 meters still lie ahead of him. Soon, Alain will climb past the pool. That's when the difficult part begins. The overhang. From here onwards, the building becomes narrower and overhanging. Alain pauses to gather his strength for the most challenging part of the climb. From down beneath, each of his movements is watched closely. Now, Alain must once again test how to distribute his weight on the overhanging grid. Because if he puts too much weight on one of the grid elements, it breaks loose. Before each hold, Alain makes a step to the side. He stabilizes the grid by pressing his foot against it and hereby also keeps his balance. Still 182 meters to go. One movement flows into the next, as accurately fitting as the pieces of a puzzle. The older Alain gets, the higher the risk of his sinews snapping. His fingers are sore. The facade is getting to him. The wind is his enemy. The grid is shaking. Alain is unsure which hold to grab next. If the bar happens to be a loose one, he'll fall 190 meters. He doesn't trust a rope with his life. He trusts only his own fingertips. They arduously pull him up in 20-centimeter steps. Alain is deeply drawn into his own vertical world.
You know, I am like any other human being, meaning that I am afraid of dying. There is something even more frightening for me, it's living a boring life. I did so many stuff by climbing in Verdun or many other places, and then I started to feel that I was really flirting in between life and death. I knew that I wouldn't be able to go any further. And then this is exactly at the same time as I have shifted to Berlin.
To climb 318 meters is an act of extreme strength and endurance. Good climbers manage 40 meters maximum. Alain is having a weak moment. He is losing his strength. He's been repeating the exact same movement for over an hour now. His body threatens to over-acidify. He's finally reached the 50th floor. There is no grid here, so Alain can take a short rest. He calls his coach for calories and energy drinks. The last 20 meters, unsheltered from the wind, are waiting for Alain. They are the most shaky ones. Just a few meters to the top. Enormous winds. Extreme overhang. A sandy facade, a shaky grid. Climbing as a borderline experience. The stakes are at maximum level. His own life.
For 1 or 2 hours, your life was a little bit on standby. You are still alive, but you could be dead within a few seconds.
The decisive hold. After 1 hour and 33 minutes, Allah has made it. He secured the new record.
It's a fantastic feeling because it's a bit like starting a brand new life. Yeah, you feel like you're reborn.
A new beginning at a height of 318 meters. From here to India. Here in southern India, people have been catching snakes for centuries, often barefooted, armed only with a pole. Just like today, a dangerous job. Nitan is one of them and belongs to the Irula tribe.
அதாவது வந்து இதில் வந்து பில்லெல்லாம் லைட்டாக ஒதுக்கிட்டு அப்படியே கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமாக சேர்ந்து வச்சுன்னு போயிருக்கோம். அதை வச்சு தான் கண்டுபிடிக்கிறேன். இது இப்போ இந்த வழியில் போயிருக்கு. வழி அதாவது பில்லு ஒதுங்கி இருக்கு. இப்போ இந்த வழியாக போயிருக்கு. இதை இங்கே இந்த பார்த்தா இங்கே தான் இருக்கும். இங்கே தான் இருக்கும்.
Most snakes are shy and only become aggressive if they feel cornered. Nitan believes the snake to be in this hole. His plan, to dig it out. Sounds dangerous.
ரொம்ப ஆபத்தானது தான். ரொம்ப ஆபத்தானதாக இருந்தாலும் நாங்கள் பரம்பரையாக செய்யறதுனால எங்களுக்கு இதே தொழில் தான். அப்பப்போ இதை செஞ்சுனே வரும்.
நாங்கள் காட்டிலிருந்து எங்கள் 12 வகை மூலிகை எடுத்து அதை எல்லாத்தையும் இடித்து மிக்ஸ் பண்ணி வச்சுப்போம். அது கடிச்ச உடனே அந்த மூலிகையான மருந்து சாப்பிட்டோம்னா அந்த விவசாயம் முறிஞ்சிடும்.
What kind of people lead such a life? The Arulas once lived in the jungle, indigenous people. Today they are outcasts, belonging to the lowest caste of the untouchables. The Arulas live in huts on the fringes of society, with no power supply or running water. Even if they are outcast in India, many people owe their lives to the Arulas, because the venom of the snake constitutes the vital part of the serum that is essential for survival.
எந்த வழியில் இருக்குதான்னு விட்டு பார்த்தா இந்த கோல் வந்து இது மாதிரி ஆடும். அதை வச்சு நாங்கள் கண்டுபிடிப்போம்.
But how will he manage to get it out of the hole without being bitten? All of a sudden, Nitan holds the end of a tail in his hands. He pulls and pulls. It really is a snake, but it's resisting. Nitan wants to tire it out, and after 5 minutes of heavy work, one pull and... Cobra! It appears to be a king cobra. The hunters are given a reward for each poisonous snake. It helps them buy the food they don't find in the jungle.
அதாவது ஃபஸ்ட்டு வாழை பிடிப்போம். வாழை பிடிச்சி அப்படியே லைட்டாக தலை ஓரம் எடுத்துன்னு போயிட்டு அந்த தமுறால் அமுத்துவோம். அமுத்தி உடனே கையால் பிடிச்சிப்போம். இது வந்து தண்ணி பகுதியில் ஜாஸ்தியாக வாழும். தண்ணி பகுதியில்னா தண்ணி ஓரத்து வந்தால் உடனே லப்புன்னு தலையை பிடிக்க வேண்டியது அப்படியே கையில்.
Arulas traditionally ate snakes, but nowadays that is against the law. Environmental protection. The second snake tries to escape. To stop it from hiding, the men corner it with their poles. Quick as a flash, Nitan grabs the snake by the tail so it can't defend itself. But this snake is bigger and stronger than the first. So Nitan uses a simple trick. This way, the reptile becomes dizzy. The snake is disoriented, and Nitan can take it by the head without any risk. It's as thick as an arm and almost 3 meters long. But sadly today won't be payday. They won't be getting their aspired reward. It turns out the snakes are harmless rat snakes. They look very similar to king cobras and are therefore often caught and killed solely due to fear. The venomous snakes end up here in the Snake Care Center. The difference to a rat snake. If a cobra gets aggressive, a neck frill protrudes, as you can see here. The Arulas started this care center with the help of bank loans. This is where the snake serum is extracted and sold with profit.
It's very hungry, when the body touch it, when the close 2 feet, when the jumping bite. 3 hours timing, madam. The bite, 3 hours.
Milking is a dangerous job. Today, about 50,000 Indians die each year of snake bites. Snakes only bite when they feel threatened. For example, if a human being tries to extract the venom. Here, a chain viper, one of India's most common venomous snakes, is being milked. The jaw is opened carefully, which causes a lockjaw. A leather cloth spread across the glass serves as a bite dummy. The venom drips from the tooth into the flask. The snake venom milking station is the only one of its kind in India where the animals aren't killed because the snakes are holy to the Arula. The reptiles are weighed, marked, and kept in clay pots for 3 weeks, after which they're set free again.
பாம்பு பொறுத்தவரை 15 முட்டையிடும் வருஷத்துல. வருஷத்துல 15 முட்டை எடுத்துறாங்க. முட்டையில இருந்தா குட்டி கலர் கருப்பா வரும், போல வெள்ளையா வரும்.
The snake hunters of India, a dangerous job which is saving lives. Mavericks Unlimited.